This is the RACER H2O podcast.
It's time to drop that flag!
Go! Come on. Right there, go get him! Cut it tight. Stay on the tractor, baby! Bring it home!
And now here's your host.
Rewind battle for the lead, shoulder to shoulder, going into turn one. Rinse that boot around!
Jared Rosberg.
Hey, what's up, troops? Troll pal Jared, welcome to the RACER H2O podcast. Thank you so much for clicking on us, bringing us up, letting me rattle around in your cranium for a little bit. Well, we got a great show this week. Our guest, if you've been involved in any type of personal watercraft racing, you know him, you love him. It's the Faster Pastor, it's our chaplain, Brian O'Rourke. Now, hey, he's going to be talking more than Team Faith in his ministry. He's going to be talking about the Huracan-R, one of the hottest performance personal watercrafts out there now. Won a ton of races last year, 2019. See, trying to skip over 2020. Won a ton of races. You saw him on our television coverage of Hydrocross Nationals. Brian O'Rourke will be our guest. He'll be talking about the Huracan. He'll be talking about the upcoming race in Branson, who he's going to have on the back of his Huracan-R skis. Notice I said skis. What kind of names can we expect? What kind of riders can we expect to show up to race on Lake Taneycomo in the middle of May 15th and 16th? So we'll be talking with him in just a minute. But hey, before we get to his interview, fans, don't forget, subscribe. No matter how you're listening to this, what platform you're listening on, please take a moment, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and then, of course, share the link with everybody you know. We're trying to get the word out about RACER H2O, what we've got going on. As I said, 15th and 16th of May in Branson, Missouri. We will have our TV cameras there for our national television coverage of round number one of Powerboat Nationals and Hydrocross Nationals racing at the Branson Grand Prix Series. 8 networks, 130 million households. So if you're involved in Pro Tunnel 2 tunnel boat racing, if you're involved in Hydrocross racing, if you've got a sponsor or you want to get a sponsor, you got to be in Branson on May 15th and 16th. Lake Taneycomo is going to be a buzz of racing activity. Branson Landing is going to be packed 3-4 deep with fans. And Branson, my friends, is ready for us. We'll have them on in the coming weeks talking about what you can do. Our good friends from the Branson Convention and Visitor Bureau, explorebranson.com. But this week, it's all about Hydrocross and it's all about Brian O'Rourke. And he will join us from Salt Lake City, Utah, where he's out there with Supercross, getting ready to race. He's just like me. Yeah, and I wanted to tell you, fans, thank you so much for your patience last week. I got hired on by Dirt Vision, and I was the Turn 3 camera guy for their race at Branson Motor Speedway, the World of Outlaws Sprint Cars. I got a job working camera for them and had a great time. I thank them so much for their hospitality, letting this powerboat guy get behind a camera and shoot something that's going a little bit faster. Average speed for their fastest guy, over 142 miles an hour on a half-mile dirt oval. High banks in Bristol, though, and man, what history. It was just a fantastic event. But I appreciate your patience, fans. We missed out on the podcast last week. Got a good one this week. Brian O. will join us on the RACER H2O podcast coming up in just under 15 seconds. Stick around.
RacerH2O.com is the place to go to find easy-to-use links to our social media. Watch, read, listen to, and enjoy our content on demand for free on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and RacerH2O.com.
This is the RACER H2O podcast.
Fans, welcome back to the RACER H2O podcast, and joining me now from the beautiful city of Salt Lake City, Utah, where he is spending time with his friends with Team Faith, helping out, spreading the good word to our friends in Supercross. It's our faster pastor, Mr. Brian O'Rourke. Brian, welcome to the podcast.
Oh man, thanks for the warm welcome there. Nice introduction. Yeah, I'm excited to be on this podcast. I've been wondering when you're going to call me, Jared.
Oh, well, hey, we're calling you this week, man, because we got a lot to talk about in a short time to get there. Like you, I was working with some wheels, and now I'm back to keels. So we bounce back and forth from wheels to keels, don't we? With racing on dirt and racing on the water.
Yeah, the wheels has been a long winter so far at a bunch of different residencies on Supercross, and I'm really anxious to get back to the keels and race our watercraft this year.
Well, we're anxious to get those cameras rolling, and man, we just can't wait to get to Branson here in a week or so. It's going to be a big event, and one of the things we saw on the water big time last year, and something you are directly involved with. This is your big thing, the Huracan-R watercraft. This thing is a rocket ship on the water, seeing victory many times last year. You could watch our coverage on the YouTube channel. You can search Hydrocross Nationals and Powerboat Nationals for our television coverage of the Huracan-R in action with Hydrocross Nationals. But Brian O, where did the idea come from? I mean, you've been racing a long time and been involved with a lot of different motorsports. Why start building personal watercraft, and especially performance personal watercraft?
Yeah, well, I'm super passionate about personal watercraft racing. It's where Team Faith was born. We got our start, excuse me, in 1994, racing a Yamaha Wave Blaster in the sport class. And I'm again, just really passionate specifically about that sport class. And so we have competed for years and years in that class. And when they started allowing aftermarket hulls and a lot of modifications and going really fast on skis that were designed to go 50 miles an hour, it started getting a little crazy. And although we won a championship in 2015 in a different organization, we felt like the competition was stepping up, and the Hamilton built an aftermarket blaster that just started dominating. And the guys who bought this blaster, had 30-40 grand in it, and we were on OEM hull Sea-Doo HXs, and they just were not able to perform the way we wanted them to, and consistently. They would do things inconsistently that we had very little control over. And I had a great rider in Kelly Smith that even if he won, he would come off the course and basically tell me, I don't ever want to ride that boat again, but you just won. He goes, yeah, but I mean, what I had to do to win was just shouldn't be that way. And we started sitting on the bank watching other skis and other classes and point out, the way they would perform, and say, now, if we could do that, if we could turn like that, if we could accelerate like that, if it would handle like this kind of turn like that. And we just basically started trying to define what a ski that we would like to have would do on the water. And there wasn't one out there at the time. So we decided to try to build one. And we had one version of the Huracan that we started to build. And I went to go test the initial hull on it. And it was after working all winter while being on Supercross. I would, the breaks that I'd get to come home, I would work in our Team Pace shop and try to put together something. And it just, when we finally got something together right before the season started, it just would not work. It did not work. I'm not a hydrodynamic engineer, so it was all just kind of trying to piece some parts from other skis together to make something that would fit under a Polaris Hurricane hull. And we chose the Polaris Hurricane hull because it was, or the top deck, because it was the widest legal OEM platform that we could put an aftermarket hull under, and it just didn't work. So that was actually my first year on Powerboat Nationals. I actually started racing my HX again, my HX 1100, and I actually did pretty good. Won the first race I raced on that in Knoxville, in my hometown. I thought, oh, this might work out, but I still had it in our mind to build something. So 3 years later, we came up with this idea of putting, chopping up an OEM hull that was not legal to be in the class, adding our own stuff to it. And we hodgepodge this thing together, didn't even test it before we made molds. And man, we came out of the gate really strong, and Kelly rode it. The first race we raced was in Knoxville again. And he got second to the current world champion at that time, which was Christian Daly. So we felt, oh man, we've got something, and kept developing it until the second race he won against 16 other guys. So yeah, we're pretty happy with it. And since then I've had more success, gotten it actually a lot better and faster. And we're excited to see what happens in 2020.
Yeah, well, you had this success. Yeah, it's 2021. I mean, we had
2021. Yeah,
sometimes
sorry,
we forget. We skipped that 2020 year. Absolutely. Yeah, just forget about that. But yeah, back in 19, the success for Team Faith and Huracan-R, I mean, it was big. Kelly Smith on the back of this thing, and like you said, almost won it in Tennessee. Had a good run in Ravenswood, West Virginia. Had some bugs in the engine. Finished deeper in the pack there, but was dominating early. Won in Wisconsin, up in the cold waters of Lake Wausau, and then, of course, at the Guntersville Lake Hydro Fest in front of all those fans, pulled out a big win there. And so, yeah, you guys saw some great success with it last year. In fact, I believe you were the winner of the North American Championship on the back of the Huracan-R. But one place that you
had some good, we had some good runs, even if we didn't win. And then in 2020, we got to race it a few other places, and we actually put guest riders on it. Christian Daly won on it. Jimmy Wilson won a moto on it before we had some failure. Even Kyle Hayes got on it and pulled a second out against Kelly. Kelly won on it on that day. I mean, I've got some seconds here and there on it, and I'm 55 years old. So it's a good haul. It really works. The boat
those of us over 50 can still do amazing things, my friend. You know that.
Yeah. It's a lot harder though. That's
and a couple of days later, you feel a little bit more. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, so the success of Huracan-R, it was doing really well in 2019, but just had a little bit of trouble in a place that we need to talk about more. And that's in Branson. You missed a podium in Branson, but you were out there, and we talk about this a lot. We talked about it in a past interview. Fans, you can hear our interview with Tom Keller, who wound up being the Hydrocross Nationals world champion. Talk about the cold water of Lake Taneycomo. I mean, people don't realize how cold that is.
The cold, rough water. It's a narrow space that we were racing in. They call it a lake, but it's really like a river. It's got a current.
It's a long, skinny lake. Yeah, with the current. Right.
With a current. So I don't know what the definition of a river is, but that's what it seemed like. And it got really rough, and it was really cold, and the guys there was a lot of competition there that week. I remember there was a lot of guys with a lot of fast boats. And I just wasn't feeling it that week. But if Kelly would have been there, I think we would have had a better showing with the Huracan-R. But if you're going to be relying on me, then.
Well, Kelly, we know he's coming back for you at several races in 2021. The first race is on May 15th and 16th in Branson, Missouri. I'm talking with Brian O'Rourke from Team Faith and Huracan-R. Brian, who you said you're bringing some guest riders on. I'm sure, guest riders many times become teammates, and they stick around for a season, especially when they see how good the skis are and how amazing the television coverage of all these events are. But who are you bringing on board this year? Can you give me some names?
I've talked to a bunch of people about it, and it's on a race per race basis based on their schedule and if the ski is available. I've got 2 skis built right now, and one we designate for Team Faith and for Kelly pretty much, or myself if I have to ride it and represent it for the ministry. And that takes a certain kind of guy that's bold in his faith and strong in his faith and willing to represent Team Faith. But the other ski I got is branded as a Huracan-R ski. And that's the one that I could put, pretty much anybody on. And this first race in Branson, Chris Landis is going to represent the brand, Huracan-R, and race it. And I've talked to Matt Johnson about putting him on it. He's been wanting to get on it for a while now, and he may be coming to Branson and doing it. And I've talked to Brett Underhill about doing it. I've always got Chris Heinrich in my back pocket if I want to get him out from California and get him put on it. You know what? I've talked to a bunch of guys that either have ridden it. Brian Baldwin's ridden it and been successful on it. And Christian Daly, I don't know where he's at with the sport class this year. I think he's pretty much focusing on P1 and his runabout career, but these are all guys, even the Hayeses, any of the Hayes guys, Rex, Kyle.
Right. Got the whole family there. Absolutely.
Yeah,
you got a lot to choose from. With
four
the Hayes
guys
family.
I could choose from right there, but
right.
Yeah, I really want to put some guys on it just to show it off and show how adaptable it is and easy to ride. And, unfortunately, I'm still on Supercross, and I'm committed out here for one more weekend, and then we'll start, once we get done with this first Branson race, we'll have another month to figure out who's going to be on it. But those are some of the names I'm considering, that's for sure.
Well, whoever you put on it for Branson, they are going to have a great time on the ski, but they're also going to have a great time on the shore, because Branson is all about entertainment from a rider's perspective and a team owner's perspective. Talk to me about Branson. Tell everybody how awesome this place is and what keeps you coming back.
Yeah, Branson is a great town. Reminds me a lot of like Pigeon Forge, Tennessee area, kind of where it's a show driven, tourist driven type of economy there. So there are a lot of things to do, extracurricular activities outside of the races. What I love about the Powerboat Nationals race at Branson too is that it's not like we're there all day into the night doing 38 classes and waiting on our turn to ride. I mean, we're like the feature entertainment there, and that Branson Landing attracts a ton of people. So if you have sponsors, from a race team perspective, it's a great place, because it's a captive audience of a bunch of people that came there to be entertained by racing. It's the course is designed to produce a lot of action and a lot of passing. The Joker buoy, of course, that Powerboat Nationals Hydrocross is famous for. You saw it here first, folks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was really cool, and the crowd loves it. So when you pull off and you grab that checkered flag as the victor, the crowd is just loud. I mean, I don't know. I've heard numbers of 10,000 people there. I don't know.
Easily. Yeah. I mean, we're on the shore with our cameras, doing the national TV for it. But I mean, and you have fans. I've talked about this on other podcasts with other riders and drivers, that the thing about Branson is these are people who are, I would say 95% of them are tourists. You have some people from Branson that come down and, they check out the race, and that's great. We welcome them. We want them to be there. Sure. But these are tourists. So for Saturday, you have people that are, they come in, they check it out, and then Sunday you have a whole new crowd. Yeah. And you have some people that come back and check it out again, but you have a whole new crowd. So it recycles. And then you have people from not just all over the United States, but all over the world coming to Branson to enjoy everything that Branson has. And if they're at Branson Landing, or they come to Branson Landing on May 15th and 16th, and then throughout the rest of the season, I mean, you have brand new fans from all over the United States coming there, and they're enjoying the show, and you're showing off your sponsors to them. You're showing off your sponsors to our national TV audience, all of the social media stuff that RACER H2O does. So, I mean,
it's good for the sport.
It's great for the sport. I mean, if you want to showcase your sport, the sport of personal watercraft racing, if you're not in Branson, I don't know why. I mean, there's so much there, TV coverage, fans. I mean, I'll put it to you this way. I was signing autographs in Branson last year. Me, the TV guy.
That should tell you something right there.
Nobody even sees me. Yeah, I mean, that tells you right there. I mean, if I'm signing autographs, man. So, I mean, we really can't wait to get there. And I mean, the CVB and everyone with Explore Branson and explorebranson.com, I mean, they just treat us so well.
Yeah.
And they recognize what a great show this is. And I mean, you know, so we can't wait to see you and everyone else in Branson, Brian O. And honestly, you know, but you do more than just race. Let's talk about the ministry. Let's talk about Team Faith and what you do off the water that is just as important as what you do on the water.
Well, like I said, in 1994, I was called to reach this unique group of people who race watercraft and for the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's the whole mission of Team Faith. And, you know, first it started where I went and did just a prayer at the writers' meeting. And as it grew, we started actually providing a devotional service, or kind of a chapel service type thing, where we do a little quick message for the athletes that travel on these tours. A lot of these guys, you know, have faith, but they don't really get a chance to go to church because they're chasing their love for and their passion for watercraft racing every weekend. And so we bring, you know, for lack of a better word, we bring the church to them in a format that's palatable for their, you know, attention spans and and the fact that we're getting ready to go race. You know, our minds might be on something else, but it's just to take a little bit of time to get our hearts and minds right before we go out there and you know, put some risk on the line there when we race, because we do know that there's a little bit of risk involved every time we throw our leg over these things, and things can happen. And we just try to get a little bit focused on really what's ultimately important, our salvation and where we're going to end up after this life is done. And that's what we try to do. We've since gone to, I was a chaplain on Arena Cross for 18 seasons before Feld decided to cancel that series. And now we moved over to the big show, Supercross, and we feed people here, feed the paddock basically for free. And there is a chaplain here already, so we don't do a message, but we're loving on people with no strings attached, trying to show the love of Jesus and show them what it's all about.
Well, it's something that is very much needed in today's world. And we appreciate everything you do, Brian O, on and off the water, and all the work you've done with, you know, trying to develop not just the sport of personal watercraft racing, but now you've got your own Huracan-R, you've got your own ski, and all the work you do with the ministry, all the hard work you do. We really appreciate it. And we thank you for spending some time with us on a podcast today. Good luck to you and the ministry and everybody in Salt Lake City. I love watching Supercross, man. Outside of RACER H2O, it's my favorite thing to watch on TV, you know?
Excellent. Well, honored to be on here, man. Thanks for giving us a shout out, and look forward to seeing everybody at Branson. If you're a sport or ski watercraft racer, man, you need to be signed up for Branson. It's lots to do on and off the course, and a lot of crowd, and even the setting there is beautiful, and it's a good time. It's a close-knit group of guys that share fellowship off the course and then are pretty competitive on the course. So I think you owe it to yourself to try to make it to Branson, even if you're not a racer, if you just want to come check out a good show.
Yeah. And if you can't, don't forget, fans, RACER H2O race number 1 of our national television coverage be seen in 130 million households on 8 television networks. Make sure you visit racerh2o.com. Click on all the links, like, share, subscribe. We will have information about when you'll be able to watch it on your television, on your telephone, on your laptop, wherever. We are all over the place. But our guest this week, once again, Brian O'Rourke from Team Faith and Huracan-R. Brian O, thank you so much for your time.
God bless you guys.
Many thanks to our guest this week, Brian O'Rourke. Hey, if you want to get more information about the Huracan-R, visit huracanski.com. That's HURACAN ski.com. huracanski.com to get more information and see some pretty cool video of the Huracan-R in action. Go to huracanski.com for more information about Team Faith or to make a donation to the ministry. Visit teamfaith.com. And fans, of course, links to everything regarding RACER H2O, our schedule. And man, I just can't tell you how excited I am to be back on the road. Again, worked with the World of Outlaws last weekend, working with them this weekend, and then have a weekend off, and I'm right into the boats at Branson, Missouri. And I hope to see you there too, May 15th and 16th for round number 1 of Powerboat Nationals racing in Branson in the Branson Grand Prix Series and our national television coverage of that. Be watching on social media too, fans. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and all of our other social media. Links are at racerh2o.com. We'll be posting video all weekend long, interviews if we can get them. It's going to be a busy, busy weekend. But man, great to be back in the saddle. Can't wait to get to Branson. So, with that said, you guys take care of yourselves, take care of each other, stay safe. We're almost out of the woods, guys. We've suffered through it. Man, does it feel good to be back in the saddle. I'm your old pal, Jared. Thanks so much for listening, fans. Thanks so much for subscribing. We'll talk to you next time on the RACER H2O podcast.